Well, what's going on in the shop today, Shauna?
Episode 20, and we're working on the motor engine still.
We're going to attempt to install some pistons and a cam and whatever else we can have time for.
Let's get going.
Okay, Miss Shauna is going to just put a bit of oil on the cylinder, number one, we're going to start with. And I'll get the ring compressor and put it all together. Now, here's the piston here. We got the gap on one side, gap on the other, away from the thrust surface. I did the same with the upper and lower oil control rings. So we'll put this in. Incidentally, we have two, and we can see, two number 8 rods, but this one also has a number 1 stamped in it. The other one just says 8, so it's kind of weird. There's more mysteries to this engine, I guess. Okay, so we'll get set up here. One little trick, anybody who's put an engine together before, I'm sure has done the same thing. You get a piece of rubber fuel line to put over the bolts, so when we pop it through the bore there, it protects the crankshaft. So we got the bearings all lubed up. I'm going to mount this in the compressor and we'll get busy. Okay, so double check cylinder number 1. It is. And we'll pop it in here. We'll get the crank all the way down. Shauna's got this nicely lubed up. Now we'll get this nice and flush so the rings don't pop out when I'm hammering it. And we got the arrow facing forward. So I reach around here. Well, actually, we'll get the piston in the bore. I'm a little rusty at this. I haven't done this in ages, but pretty basic stuff. Okay, so we got a problem with the oil ring. I'm going to pass me that little handle thing. So typical on this style of compressor, if you don't get this flush right with the block, as soon as it hits the gap, the ring's going to pop out. So I'm going to try this again. You want the strap close to the bottom here.
Do you want me to hold it up?
Yeah. We got our assistant here. Okay.
Oh, you air around that little thingy.
Okay, so I'll try this again. Sometimes it takes a time or two. Make sure it's even all the way around. So get it nice and tight. We'll try this again. Force down. Don't see any rings sticking out.
Oh, thing fell off.
I see that.
Where's that supposed to go?
See the change in sound? We're doing it again. Okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out this ring compressor. We'll be right back. Well, try it again. Take 3. Got the compressor all the way flush. So maybe I need to whack it a little harder, a little faster, so it goes past. Doesn't give the rings a chance to spread out. But you want to make sure that this is as flush as you can. And you don't want to keep hammering if a ring is, expanded and stuck out, because you'll just break them. Okay, we are in, I think. How did this go inside? Okay. Well, we got number 1 in. we'll pop it over and tighten up the rod caps.
So that can't fall out now, right?
It can, but it's not as likely. It's not that loose. Where's that bearing that popped out? So we had a bearing pop out when I was hammering. Being used. I guess maybe they're not as tight as fresh ones, although they seem pretty tight when I put them in just a minute ago.
Need a light? More light?
No, I can see.
Okay.
Just need smaller fingers to get in here. So, if you've been following along since the beginning, or since we started doing the engine part anyway, this was never intended to be an engine rebuild. When we got it, the intake was off, and the carburetor obviously, and so basically it was an exploration of finding out what condition it's in, and it's pretty decent. So we're just reusing whatever is still serviceable, because again, it's not a rebuild. It's just a light refresh, you could say, and then stick it back into service. Just trying to get this rod bearing back in there. It's hard working around a crankshaft. This stupid thing wasn't supposed to fall out. Anyway. Okay. I think we're back in. So, Sean, if you want to grab that tap the piston with the hammer slowly from underneath there. So you're going to have to come on this one right here.
Oh, like there's nothing in there.
Yeah. And just tap it slowly. And I'll guide these rod bolts over the crank.
Just right in the center?
Yep. Just like that. Okay, just a sec. It's got a bit of a twist to it. Just going to turn it here. Okay, keep coming. So we wipe down the cylinder bores about 10 times so they come out clean. So they should be good to go. And same with the crank. Keep coming. So we'll show you the procedure here for the one, and then we'll probably fast forward through the other 7, because it's just more of the same thing, and I don't want to put you to sleep. Okay, bit more, one more. Okay, we are in there. So we'll get this cap on. Or do you want to look up in the manual? Actually, we'll just snug them up. We'll torque them at the end. But for now, we're just going to snug them up so they spin. So we've got lots of lube. I'm using a lithium assembly lube. Made just for this kind of stuff. And we'll get these nuts on there. Now, do you want to grab, these are just, looks like I think it's ½ inch. You want to grab a little ratchet and a ½ inch socket.
Okay.
Making everybody seasick there?
I tried to do it slowly. What am I looking for again?
½ inch socket and ratchet. And just snug this up so we can spin it around as we do the other 7. And then we'll get all this buttoned up, and then we'll get a windage tray on and the oil pan. Okay, somebody is going to torque the rod bolts in her car's engine. See, I get her to do it. That way, if there's any problems, there's no warranty. It's her. Pull it nice and even, yeah. Go back. Hey, go to the other side. Other bolt. There you go.
This one?
Yeah. Do them even if you can. Okay, go back to the other one. It should click right away. There you go. On the other side. Well, pistons are all in. They're all torqued. The rod bolts are all torqued. And I figure we'll just put this cam in for now. So I'm not using a cam break-in lube because we don't have to break this cam in, being a used cam. So we're just using more of this engine assembly grease. It is somewhat high pressure, so, and then we'll pre-oil the engine anyway, so this is just so nothing's dry on it. But we'll slide it in its home from where it came. Do it without nicking the bearings. Of course, the further in you get, the harder it is because you got to support it from one end. People use bolts on the end of the cam as handles, but I didn't do that. I just, wing it. And I got to hunt up, I had mentioned I had a double roller timing chain from a buddy, and it only has like 1,000 miles on it, if that. So I was gonna pop that in here and see how it compares to the one we pulled out, which to me seemed quite loose. You know, there was a bit of movement there between the cam and the crank. So that's what you'd call variable timing. You know, just like the new cars, right? Well, all the pistons are in. The cam's in. We had some problems with our first ring compressor. It gave us some grief, so I had to dig another one up. Luckily, I had another one. It was marginally better, but anyway, it did the job. So everything is in. Everything feels smooth. There's no tight spots. So it's not really rebuilt. It's just cleaner, the engine. Anyway, I'll find that timing chain. We'll hook that up. Then we'll push it over or swivel it around and put the oil pan on. This engine had a windage tray on it, and usually that's reserved for the high performance engines. It reduces windage at higher RPM. It's supposed to gain like 10 or 15 horsepower. So it does that through efficiency, you know, keeping the oil away from the turning crank. So we're going to put that back in because with efficiency in mind, we're trying to make this into getting decent mileage. So that windage tray should help. A little bit of power for sure, and then just with efficiency, less load with the oil spinning around. So that should help us out. And yeah, I've got the heads the one is completely assembled and ready to go back on. The other one is, the valves are all lapped. I just got to clean it and then assemble it. And then we'll be putting them on. We've got that other intake that we showed you last time. We're going to put that in the bead blaster and see if we can get some of that blue paint off.
That's the one down there.
Because the engine's going to be red, which is what it was originally. And, you know, these things like to flake off, and it would look really bad if there's blue paint shining through. So we'll do that. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for today. This putting all the pistons in took some time. And, of course, you got to go to sleep and work tomorrow. So we'll leave it at that.
Okay. I got the giggles. I don't know what's wrong. It's a wrap for tonight. We will be back in the shop on Friday. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, see ya.